Wichita lineman.
Buddy, you said that you don't like country music, so, and you have some definite feelings about musical tastes.
Absolutely. I think that it's about time that this country grew up in this musical taste, rather than making the giant step backwards that country music is doing. We try very hard to do things like the moon landing and our new cars and fashions and everything, all a step forward. And country music is a giant step backwards. It's so simple that anybody can sing it, anybody can do it, anybody can play it on one string. Right on. That I think it's about time that we learn that there has to be a higher degree of musical intelligence, and that we have to start listening to better things rather than the simple things. You know, our creators in jazz, the only art form that this country really has produced, and people like Art Tatum, and Lester Young and Charlie Parker, some of the great giants of jazz, Miles Davis, Dizzy Gillespie, Benny Goodman, Count Basie. These people are giving something in music, they're giving of themselves, and yet they have Hall of Fame for a baseball player or a trophy for a football player who gets smashed, and the line is forgotten about the great jazz musicians who have given so much.
I'm glad you brought that up, because not enough respect is given to good musicians.
Absolutely not.
People kind of take it for granted.
Consider them.
People take it for granted, and they're. I think they should be respected, because I know, watching our guys,
right,
they're working every minute of every day.
Well, they're creative.
In bettering themselves.
That's what music is all about. It's creativity, you know. And I don't think you have to create too much, man, to be a hillbilly. You know, anybody can go and say, wham, wham, wham. Listen,
Buddy
he's a high
Rich,
school
in care
teacher.
of Buddy Rich, all the men.
He's a high school teacher,
That's
right?
right.
And his brain should tell him that country music is really outside, man. It's really simple, you know. And I think when you do a show like this, it's about time that the young people who may be viewing this thing realize that there's a lot more to music than just playing one chord or two chords and going out and trying to make
Buddy,
$1 million.
music makes various people happy in different ways. There are some people who use music as a kind of a tranquilizer, kind of a, you know.
Yeah, well,
I watch westerns.
I
watch westerns because it doesn't really tax my brain.
Yeah, because you know who's going to win.
I can go in the kitchen for 5 minutes and come back and get right back in. And
right, isn't that simple?
Yes.
Well, I'd rather think that Mannix can't make it on Friday night or Saturday night. You know, I'd rather think that he's being chased and can't win. It gives you something to think about. How's he going to get away? Or Mission Impossible. You know, although you know they're going to win, I don't know how they're going to win. And it gives me something to think about. Mm-hmm. And the same thing applies to music. You know, if I'm going to sit and listen to you sing, and I'm going to listen to Frank and Tony Bennett, I know that there's enough emotion there to carry me through whatever period of emotion I'm going through.
That's great company you just put me in, pal.
You know, if I have to listen to Glen Campbell, man, that's like the cowboy Wayne Newton as far as I'm concerned.
It's interesting that as the budgets for schools become more and more difficult, that they're dropping music from some of the curriculum.
That's unfortunate.
That hurts.
That's tragic.
Very
because
unfortunate.
That is the beginnings of a familiarity with the language of music.
I'll tell you something very, very interesting, Mike, if we have time. We've just played a couple of high schools for some very young people. We played in Glassboro, and we played in Western Massachusetts, a high school in Western Massachusetts, where they have a jazz orchestra for young people. And we did a concert there a week ago Friday, and the average age was about 17. Nobody much older than 19 in the audience. And we have a couple of rock charts in the band that we played. And as soon as we started to play that, we lost them. As soon as we got into the jazz thing that the band is known for, you know, the kids were just hysterical. It was one of the great nights the band's ever had. And the same thing applied when we were in Europe. The whole attitude in Europe is the jazz thing. You know, they got some excellent jazz musicians. England has one of the greatest bands. The band that plays behind Tom Jones is one of the great bands of all time.
That's right.
So that there must be something said about the art form of jazz, you know, and we tend to not relate to the jazz thing. We like to think that the real American music is the cowboy sitting on top of the horse with one leg over the saddle, singing, you know, "Show me a home with a buffalo roam, and I'll show you a dirty house." You know.
What do you say about a Chet Atkins who plays and you listen to him with the Boston Pops or that kind of thing? You say.
Well, what I try to do is listen to the Boston Pops and reject Chet Atkins.
Oh no! Wait a minute.
Yeah, really.
No, I think he's.
Really.
I think Chet Atkins is a virtuoso.
He's a virtuoso, unless you've heard guys like Charlie Christians, and when you've heard Charlie Christians, then you can't relate to Atkins.
Well,
you know,
buddy,
it's like that other cat.
Now you're getting into styles now.
Hold it, I'm the guest. When you hear Boots Randolph, right?
Yes.
And you hear him play that funny thing that he plays, you know, yakety sax, which was like on the top 10 for an hour and a half. How do you listen to him and with the same ears try to listen to Lester Young or listen to Charlie Parker. You cannot do it, man, because the variance in the musical taste and the articulation and the ability and the heart and the time that went in to be a master like Lester Young was and left a mark for people like Stan Getz to follow. These people should be thought about, not these cowboys, man.
But many of us don't have the education and music education.
You don't need
background
you don't need a
that.
musical education, man. You need some ears and you need some time to think about what people are producing. You know, it's like going to see a skin flake and a story like Love Story. There's a great difference, but they're both on the market. Now it's up to you, with a man with taste, to be able to discern which picture is the most valid, the one that you think can give you the most.
Do me a favor, buddy. Do some of your
You're
music
mad at me
for
now,
us.
right?
No, I'm not. I want you to play it. I want you to talk through your whole
Listen,
number.
you got a cowboy chart?
I still like that.
What is it?